we're out here having a look at my little potted chili patch. These are all the wonderful hot lemon drop chilies I grew from seed back in January, and it's taken this long. We are now in the very end of September for them to start turning yellow. I actually had to harvest lots of them while they were still green because I just thought they were never going to turn yellow, but now they are starting. But the problem is the night temperatures are really dropping. It's down to 6, and as you can see, because of that, lots of the leaves of the chili plants are dropping as well, and that is because they're not happy in those kind of really low temperatures. They are still tropical plants and they need to go inside. I need to get them all ready to overwinter. So I'm going to be picking all the last chilies. I did do a big harvest a while ago while they were still green because I gave up on them turning yellow. So I'll do a big harvest now, the last one, and then get them all ready, as many as I can fit on my windowsills, ready for winter. It's such a shame because you can see they're still happily flowering away. Beautiful, beautiful flowers. So I wonder if I can keep some of them in their pots. I did one year with some red ones and they kept on flowering and fruiting all throughout Christmas even, and it's really quite festive with red chilies because they're pretty Christmassy colors. So maybe I'll keep a few of these ones and allow them to continue flowering. I can do a mix, that some of them can keep fruiting and flowering, and other ones I'll cut right down like you're supposed to do to keep them the best chance of overwintering. But the main thing is I want to keep them alive, these roots at least, so that I get a really head start, because that way there'll be a lot more time for the flowers and fruits to set and ripen before now, so I'll get many more. And these ones here, the hot lemon drop chilies, are really abundant fruiters, and as you can see there's just so much going on, and we picked so many of them and made so much wonderful hot lemon drop chili jam, because even though they were green, they still have this wonderful lemony flavor. A really good variety to try to grow. So I'll just see what I can do. I'll choose a few and then we'll get down to cutting them, getting them ready for winter. I was trying to decide which ones to keep allowing to fruit on and which ones to cut back, and it's just so tricky because each of them are like, oh my god, there's so many flowers on all of them. So it's a really hard time. But I have decided to do this guy, but I'm just looking at him again. I think I need to keep him because he's so big and he's got so many flowers. Look at all these flowers. Yeah, I think he's going to be okay to keep. So this guy, he's got loads of flowers too. This is my least favorite time. So this is the end result. I've got some of the chilies. They're just full of flowers still and lots of fruit. I am going to keep them alive through the winter. The main thing I'm going to do is feed them. I have this really great chili food, and I've actually been really remiss with feeding them while they've been outside these past few weeks, if not months, because they just I've watered them every so often and just sort of let them tick over, and they were just producing lots of fruit. But to keep them healthy, to keep them pest free, I need to make sure that they have all the nutrition they need. So I'm going to be giving them this. This is actually a really great thing. It says you can feed them with every watering. I might do with every other watering or so, but I'm also not going to be watering them too much. I'm going to be keeping them a little bit dry. And one more thing I'm going to do, just to really enhance their health, overall health, is first of all, I've also pruned any dead leaves off, anything that looked a bit unhealthy, just to sort of make sure they're not wasting energy on those leaves. And I'm also going to be, I've got some crushed some crushed eggshells, which are in this little pot here, and I'm just going to be covering the base of them. I like to give chilies crushed eggshells because they often need extra calcium, and I think it just helps. Sometimes it takes longer for the soil to actually, for the plants to actually get it from the soil, but I think just giving some crushed eggshells there is not going to harm them, and it might give them a bit more calcium, so why not? And anyhow, it's just garden waste, so it's great to be able to use it. So that's what I'm going to do with those guys, and I have found a few which I think are ready to be chopped. But these ones I want to keep, and I'll see how long they keep going throughout the winter. If they at some point die, I'll do a little catch up and we'll just prune them right down and see how that goes. But I'll take you over to the other ones. Here are a few others that I've also decided to keep as they are. They're really flowering and fruiting still. So hopefully we'll get lots of fruits throughout the winter. I think it's just a nice way to keep them as houseplants. Anything that looks a little bit eaten or a little bit worse for wear in terms of leaves, I'm going to be snipping them off like that. Just don't waste any plant energy on those, but hopefully they'll be really nice and happy here. The one thing I also want to do at some point is find some nice terracotta pots. They can all be matching, because I just hate having these mismatching plastic pots on a windowsill all winter. That would not be pleasant. So I'm going to go and hopefully get some cheap terracotta pots to repot them in at some point. So here are the poor little guys that did not make the cut of being kept alive. But I also think it's quite nice to try a bit of each, because people say the best way to keep them through the winter is to give them a right prune, and then you just let them tick over all winter, and then they can just start out again. So I think it's a good thing that I'm doing both. And what I'm going to do with this one, for example, it's such a wobbly one. I mean, it's full of fruit, nice green chilies there that I'll of course be harvesting. It has lots of flowers too, but that's just because, you know, they're just really late this year. But I'm going to actually just trim it right down to the bottom. I'm just taking this plant and just cutting it. Let's have a look where I'm doing it. It's hard to see. I'll leave a few nodes. Maybe I'll just go to prune first off, and then I can go back over it again. Don't want to cut too much, but I just want to cut it right down, and then it will just keep the roots alive and the plant essentially alive that way. So if you look here, then the plant can just shoot out from all those bits. I'm also going to prune this one down a little bit. Let's have a look. I'll put him down to here actually. Now, there to there, and that one down to there. That one down to, make them really quite short. There. And that's probably really short. Look at that. Tiny little plant now. And that will be fine. It's just really nicely overwinter now, like that. And stay healthy. And then next year, in March, I'll just give it, like, slowly give it water, not feed it too much. I might give it a little bit of food now actually, just to let it get over the shock, because it's a huge shock. It's just had all of everything cut off. So I might give it a little bit of water now, and then it should just slowly sit there and wait till spring, and then it can come back again. That'd be so nice. A really head start on those ones too. So it's really fun to try this. It's like a little experiment, even though I don't like killing plants. Okay, so this one is really wobbly. I mean, the thing is, it's in a really tiny pot, so the poor thing has not had a good life, and he's actually got quite a few chilies on him. Whoops. He was near my cucamelons, so there's a cucamelon stuck to him here that's twined its way around him, or a few cucamelons. That's so random. But yeah, I just need to trim him right down. Let's have a look. Super wobbly, super flimsy. I think this is going to be good for him to get a little bit of a pruning. And of course I'll also pick those chilies and we'll use them. They're lovely, lovely chilies. These chilies are just the best chilies ever. So delicious, insanely delicious. So I'm going to put it really, really far down, like that. I can always come back over it later if that is necessary. There we go. And that one down to there. Just anywhere there's a node, sort of cut it at a slanted. There we go. Let's have a look at that. There we go. Another one. So again, a really short guy now. I'll just take off anything dead, make it really clean, give him a bit of a feed, just because I want to make sure he's okay now that he's been divested of all of his branches. Poor little thing. But that's all we need, just that bit there. Just going to overwinter that, and then keep it really quite dry, but make sure it doesn't dry out completely. It always sounds really contradictory, but just, yeah, make sure it stays alive but does not get too wet. And I'll put some eggshells down here, crushed eggshells too. I like to give these kind of plants that they always need extra calcium, and I might as well do that. And then I'll just keep him somewhere safe, somewhere out of freezing temperatures. And then in March, I'll start watering him up again. Maybe even in February I'll start watering him again and just getting him growing again, so he can get a really good head start. If you wanted to worry about roots at all, he's going to already have all this, and you can just shoot up from here and then really start producing early, and that would be so much nicer, because then I'll get lots of fruits rather than having to eat lots of green chilies. I'll get lots of yellow chilies. That's the plan anyhow. So there we go, a few more to go. So look at this guy, he is definitely in need of a prune. I mean, I went around all of them and just tried to see which ones were healthiest, and the ones that had these kind of yellowing leaves, you can just tell, okay, they're just maybe been damaged by the frost, or it hasn't been freezing yet, but it's been really cold out there. But I just think, yeah, they need to go down. So I'm going to get him down to some of these bottom nodes. He's got such lovely branching, because when he was really tiny, I nipped the top off, and then he just really branched out loads. So he's done really well, and this is going to be beautiful. Next year I'll get even more branches. See, all I've got left now is this. There we go. And when I repot him, I'll repot him standing up more straight, because he's really at an angle, and that makes it really wobbly too. So, but yeah, that's all he is. I'm going to keep him, the roots alive pretty much, and then in February I've decided I'm going to start watering them again and start getting them growing again, because that's just to get them a head start. This guy is not too wobbly, and actually he's got loads and loads of baby chilies. I think I'll give him a bit of grace there. He likes to stay. This guy, Mr. Wobble City, he needs to go down to there. See, once you get into it, get a bit more callous. It is a hard thing to do, because you've been growing these guys since they were, little tiny seeds, and they've worked so hard on growing this hard, and but this way I'm keeping them alive, and if I left them outside to their own devices in England, they would just die. So I suppose I'm treating them nicely. How about you? Do you have to live? You've got loads of growth on you, haven't you? Wow, I think I'm going to let you live too. My goodness, okay, there we go. So this will be a really exciting experiment after all that, to see who will fare best. The ones I've left to grow and flower and just try to keep alive and fruitful all winter, or the ones I have cut right down and will let go dormant now until February. I've decided on February, not March. So we'll see how it goes, and I will see you again about this in March. Until then, happy gardening. Oh my goodness, look at all this foliage. Cleanup time. And there's those cucamelon bits again from outside, where it had twirled its way around the chili plant.